Welcome back, everybody. This is the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage. The last video I made, I was showing you guys I was trying to unlock this Kenmore that has been an ongoing thing. I've tried in the past to get it to recover from the awful grease that somebody put in it that really caused it problems. And when your sewing machine manual says to use oil, don't do something else. Don't get creative. Follow their directions. If you're going to get creative, try it before you do it. This is one of the last of the great vintage sewing machines. I call it heirloom quality, built in Japan by a company named Marusan for Sears. And it is one of the last of the all-metal sewing machines for home use. And once they started putting plastic in these, that was the end of home sewing machines with all steel construction. That doesn't mean that some of them didn't still have a lot of metal in them, and I've shown you guys that in some of my videos on what I call hybrid machines, that they have some plastic mechanical parts. But this is what, it was the last of the great era of what I call heirloom quality machines. They can last and last and last. So, you guys know that when I first got this machine, I showed you I struggled with it. I tried different things, tried cleaning it with alcohol, a number of things. They did not work. So the last time I tried to go back, I'll take the lid off here, and she looks rough, and she is aesthetically rough. But again, that doesn't bother me, because just because a machine is scratched and this one's dirty, it hasn't been cleaned yet. A lot of times people will pass over these. They assume that the machine is in bad running condition. That's not always the case. And sometimes when you have a machine that looks beautiful on the outside, you can have a lot of work ahead of you on the inside. So, looks can be deceiving. Don't judge a book by its cover. In the case of this one, it was in even worse shape mechanically than it looks aesthetically. But that is because somebody did not do what they should have. They did something that the engineers did not want them to do. And you combine that with it sitting in, I don't know where it's at, maybe it was in a hot environment. Whatever the reason, this great machine is hurting. And yes, you'll notice it's missing parts on its tension assembly, but I'm not worried about that right now. I'm either going to rebuild the old one or find a replacement. But that's not this machine's biggest problem. It doesn't go in zigzag, but as I've explained in other videos, such as those about the Necky zigzag sewing machines, the zigzag function in any sewing machine will often freeze up before the vertical, the straight stitch, vertical up and down motion. And so if it doesn't work in zigzag, that doesn't mean you can't use it in straight stitch, and there is a way to eventually get the zigzag to work again. This one does not work in zigzag, but again, that's a back burner problem. Right now, I just want to see if, and you guys will remember I covered in the last video, I used this heavy duct tape to keep anything off of the belt. I did not want the belt to get dirty or oil on it. That's not good. Now, you guys remember when I was making the video, I used this product. It's called Electrical Contact Cleaner. I also put tape on the sides of the motor, which I will remove if this works. And I think I'm done using this type of product. But I use this because it's very high in solvents. I'm outdoors. I don't like using stuff that has a lot of solvent indoors. It's really not good, not healthy. Anyway, this stuff dries really quickly, and you guys may have even noticed it. It dried up quickly, and it did dissolve some of the grease. In fact, if we look inside here, down in the very bottom, you may see some oil or liquefied grease that's pulled down there, and I can clean that up. But I'm hoping that all of this work, when it finally moved last time, I sprayed a bunch of this on top of the moving parts that were frozen, and I took my hand and I turned because it was stuck. I had to get things to revolve. I had to get this stuff on the other parts. You can get it on the parts that are exposed, but on the other side you need to turn it. And I had to use a good bit of force on the hand wheel. And I've talked to you guys before about when to be careful, especially with switchgear, right? Don't force things. But in this case, I was moving it. I could feel it turn, and as soon as I did, it unlocked it. and this product I was able to spray enough on that things were moving great. But as you know, as you may recall from the earlier videos on this, I would get it to run, and then as soon as it sat and things dried up, it refroze itself again, which was really maddening. I've never had that. This is the worst case machine I've ever had, and it's not because it's a Kenmore. There are people who say, oh, it's a Kenmore, it's a Sears machine, it's not as nice as some of the other brands. No, no, no. In this time frame, these were some of the best sewing machines made. And Sears sold a lot of them. They were a big retailer once upon a time. So, without further ado, we still have it set in a straight stitch mode and long stitch, right? We're not doing anything fancy. We have to crawl before we can walk. I have her plugged in, and I have the power button on, and I have the foot pedal, which I will just push my hand on because I'm down here on the ground here with it. And let's see what she's going to do, guys. This is a moment of truth. I'm going to see if it will move, if it will function at all, and if not, then it's back to the drawing board. So here we go. Uh-oh. You can see a little movement here. It's very slow, but now I'm going to have to help it and see what it does. There we go. So it was still sticking, guys. Now, one of the things I will investigate here is I have to figure out, is the sticking was being caused by all this gummed up grease that was in the machine. But when I went to use it just now, I had to give it, I shouldn't have to do that, right? I should be able to start it slowly, quickly, and she should fly like she's doing now. So now I'm going to have to go back and decide, okay, is there something going on with the belt? Normally, if a belt is slipping, you think, well, maybe there's some grease on the belt. And who knows, there could be. Normally, if a belt is going to slip, it will slip constantly. It doesn't normally, or it'll slip when you first start off and then it gets going. But this, I had to actually use some effort. So normally, if a belt's slipping, actually your hand wheel will just, it may be stiff because of the mechanics, but it's not going to be stiff at the motor. So I will inspect that and see if there are issues with the belt. I don't think there are. I really think there's something still wanting to gum it up. So one last time, guys, to make sure I'm getting it all here, covering every piece of this this amazing all steel drivetrain. Now, I will say it's better. It did not take as much effort to get her moving as it did last time. So can we call that progress? I'm trying to be optimistic, trying to lean on the side of being hopeful. But, there's a limit to everything. If I sell this machine, it won't sell for much because it's not the prettiest. And even if it was, I would never recover the amount of time and effort that I've spent on this thing. This will be a loss regardless, but it's okay. This is a hobby, and so let's see what happens. I've still got my tape. Now what I'm going to do is I'll put the tape back over the this little section here. It's just a cover. I'm not slowing anything down. I just don't want any overspray to get there. In fact, I'm going to come in here and make sure that I've got that covered. In fact, I'm just going to come in here and spray more. Now, I've done this before. You guys saw me. And you're thinking, oh, well, try it again. See what happens. And let's see. Let's move this a little closer. You guys can see more up close what I'm doing. Ooh. And this stuff has a smell. I'm doing okay with it because I'm outdoors. But again, really suggest you guys don't do this indoors. You really are not probably going to like the effect, right? Now, here I'm going to take the hand wheel over here with my hand. I'm just going to turn it a little slowly. I want to make sure I'm getting every side to the drive shaft and all the moving parts, okay? Because, it's this is one of those things where if you have a part that hasn't rotated, you can miss it with your cleaning stuff, right? And I'll come back over here. I don't think I need that much over here on this side compartment right here, because I'm not really having issues with the needle bar going up and down. Of course, it's not moving as far as the zigzag, but that's a whole nother problem that I'll have to deal with. Again, that's Normally that's the big problem with these machines amongst the others, but right now I would feel fortunate just to get it to be consistent in a straight stitch, and once it is, then I can try to work on the now see, I didn't even have to budget at all, and I just don't know. I know I'm getting some stuff dissolved here because it's clearly helping. That's full speed, that's flooring it, pedal to the metal there. What a beautiful sound, you know. This thing is so relatively quiet for given all the things it's doing. I find a lot of the modern machines are typically louder. Not all of them, but many of them are typically louder. Okay, so I'm going to move this, let this turn slowly. I'm just going to spray, I think I've done this before, just spray this stuff on it as it's turning to see if that's helpful. We'll see. And again, I still have the tape on my motor. Because you do not want anything, no liquids at all, even this stuff, never ever put this into a motor. You've got to seal the motor and seal it tight so you don't get any fluid or cleaner or anything in it. That would be really bad. Let's see what I've got here. Okay. Again, she's moving now. I could try this in a week, guys, and what do you think? Do you think it'll be, do you think she will want to run? Now, one thing I did not do last time, whoops, I did not do last time, she's pretty scratched up, guys, so I'm not, this is one of those machines I'm not as careful with in terms of that because it's going to need a whole cleaning. You can see here, here's the tape. I've got both sides of the motor taped. Now, you cannot leave that tape on there. I'm not running this machine a lot because those openings on the sides of the motor where it cools, but given what I'm doing, it'll be fine. I'm not running it long. She's not, you know, the motor's not even warm yet. So that's okay. So let's take a look. Maybe there's something down here that could also use this. I should have done that last time you guys were watching, but let's see. Let's see if I can, you can see these parts moving down here, right? So I'm going to take a little bit of this solvent, what I have left here, and make sure I'm getting this. Maybe it was binding down here, you know, and who knows? You just never know. But whoever put that grease in this machine, they put it down here too. They kind of slobbered it all over the place. I'm sure they thought they were doing something useful, but they really created problems for themselves, and this is why they gave me the machine, honestly. You might think, oh, it was for free. That must be awesome. But in fact, it's a royal pain. It really is. Lord, I'm not having problems with the motor turning. That's not an issue. Okay, let's see what we get here. You can see the little, all the moving parts here. I'm going to let it move slowly. Again, staying clear of the motor. Because there are so many contact points for these machines, you know, it doesn't take a lot to bind them. There's like one right here, right in this spot here, there's grease. Even this one spot could literally make it stop running. Okay, and I'll point, let's see if it shows up here, right down here. Right in that spot right there. Let's see, I'm going to lower my tripod here. I want to make sure that this is coming up. I can't tell when I look into the camera if you guys are seeing this or not. But right here, guys, you see this moving piece? There's grease there. And somebody thought they were helping, but they were not. They were creating a royal pain for me trying to fix it. Of course, if they hadn't, they would never have gotten rid of it. Somebody would be sewing with it. But let's see what we can accomplish with this. I think they went to every moving part and just added grease. One of the reasons I'm doing this is I wanted to be sure if I sell this machine, someone may buy it, and it's not going to sell for very much just because of the aesthetics. But honestly, I need to know that I can come back to the machine, you know, weeks later and it cranks up. And this issue of refreezing up, which is, I've never had a sewing machine do this before because I don't think I've had one that had grease freeze it up. It's always been normally old sewing machine oil. Once you clean that out, it's usually you're good to go. But in this situation, I have to be really sure that the machine is going to function, and she doesn't have a lot of sewing machine oil on her right now, so I would not, you know, when this cleaning process is finished, it's going to be extremely important to get her oiled. Okay, you don't want to run it like that, but there's some residual grease and oil in there that what I'm doing here should not harm it. These machines are really powerful. They have the reduction gear. I've shown you guys the inside of these before from the side. They are in some ways a copy of the Bernina design, and you wouldn't know it to look at this version and the way it's caused problems, but in terms of maintenance and parts and surface, I believe I would choose one of these old Kenmores over the Berninas, and I know there are Bernina lovers out there. I understand why they love them. They are incredible machines, but they have their own Achilles heels. Nothing, including Berninas, are perfect, and that's okay. And again, I'm not even applying heat here, so, you know, getting old grease out is, you know, it's still thick. My goodness, look at this, guys. It's just, see, what's happening is the solvent here is helping break it up and soften it, but then when the solvent evaporates, you're back to the grease, and so it's almost like you're trying to wash off mud, not with water. No. And so I'm really, you know, thinking, you know, how much of this do I need to do, you know, to get this thing to forgive the old grease that was put into it. Don't know yet. So, well, I assumed I was either going to get perfect movement starting it up today, or if I was going to have it fully frozen and I was going to have to part it out. However, the way things are looking, it's somewhere in between, so I'm not giving up. I'm going to come back and do another video in a few weeks, and we'll see. We will see what, you know, if I can basically flush out enough of the old grease, get sewing machine oil in there, and let's see if we can get this thing to finally shed all of this old stuff so that it can run again, because it's an amazing machine. There's no reason to toss it out or part it out unless I cannot. You know, if it's not going to ever come back, then it's time. Sometimes there's just, you know, you have to move on. You can't save them all, as I say, but God knows I try, and I've had some real doozies before. But if I did not respect this machine, guys, if I did not think these were amazing machines, I would not spend the time and the effort to do this. You know, you have to decide what is most important, right? If you have a new machine, it's really cheap, it's not made well, and someone tells you it's going to cost this to fix, or it's going to be a real problem, you know, why don't you just replace the machine? It's hard to argue with that approach, because you're throwing good money after bad. But given the quality that these machines had, I'm really giving it everything I've got here to try to get this machine to live again the way it was meant to. And again, all of the dirt and the grime here on the body, I'm not worried about that. I'll do my best. We'll get it cleaned up. It'll never look new, but that's okay. That's not this machine's main problem. Its problem is, you know, before it looks pretty, it's got to be able to sew. Otherwise, you can just set it up and look at it. Some people do, and that's great. Preserving machines as objects of beauty is great. But I restore machines for people to use, because these machines were meant to be used. They love to be used, and they actually hold up better if you use them more. I know that sounds kind of opposite of the way things are made today, but anyway, there you go, guys. What do you think? Is this success? Is it partial success? Or am I simply, you know, chasing something that I'll never get to? I don't know. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. And finally, it's taken me a long time. Many of you have been very patient waiting for these videos on the old Kenmore, but I promised I would try, and no, it's still here. And if you have any ideas, please feel free to share them. You can put your comments there in the channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, feel free to do so. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and you can look at any of the videos you want. And stay tuned. Again, a few weeks we will figure out how to get this old girl either running or the lessons. If nothing else, these videos have been worth it because it shows you an extreme version of abuse, and even with this would have killed any modern machine. But this old Ironsides is doing its best in spite of really awful treatment by a former owner who just didn't know any better. I'm sure it was their machine. So what do you think, guys? Stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next installment of the Rescue series. Take care.